Hey guys, quick disclaimer before the video starts. I just wanted to apologize for being away for so long again. This time I actually have a reason for that other than just procrastination. This time I actually gotten 2 copyright claims from YouTube. My first 2 copyright claims, so that's a blast. The first one was on my Dark Blade review, and it's still up and available for some of you guys, but not to everybody. And my second one was on, honestly, one of my ever made, my Kelsey Stand By You music video. That one is completely unavailable. Only I can watch it in my YouTube studios. I honestly considered fighting back against these claims, but I didn't want to get punished further for it. But I'm just gonna leave them be for now. Hopefully this video does a bit better in terms of working around the copyright. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say for now, and enjoy the video. I've been binge watching Gravity Falls in preparation for Halloween, and let me tell you, coming back to my childhood favorite cartoon after all these years feels so good. I think the show is even better for me now than when I was a kid. I love the story, the characters, the lore, the mysteries, etc. Now, a lot of people today think that cartoons are too soft because censorship is very strict. And they're half right. Obviously, there's some things they can't do for obvious reasons, but cartoons nowadays have gotten away with a lot more than you think. And I could pick any episode of this show to use an example, but I decided to go with what I think is the most underrated episode of the show. This is Headhunters. So this episode starts off with Dipper and Mabel chilling in the living room watching Duck Detective. Dipper thinks he could outsmart the clever duck, but then Seuss comes in to tell him that they've found something. A secret wax figure collection behind the walls.
They're so lifelike.
Except for that one.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It turns out that Grunkle Stan had a wax figure attraction in the Mystery Shack years ago. And eventually Stan finds that his wax Abraham Lincoln figure was melted away. So Mabel offers to make a new wax figure out of the old wax. After going through a couple of Mabel ideas, she eventually gets inspired to make a Stan figure, which inspires Grunkle Stan to reopen the Wax Museum again. Inspiration is an amazing thing. So Stan shows off his newest creations and hands the mic over to Mabel. And in the background, we can see a character named Blendin Blandin, a time traveler who first made his real appearance in the episode A Time Traveler's Pig. Well, technically, he appeared in the first 3 episodes of the series in the background just like this, but it wasn't until The Time Traveler's Pig where he was introduced and explained. And it explains why he was in the backgrounds of those episodes. So later that night, after the Wax Museum is closed for the night...
Wax Stan! He's been murdered! Oh my god!
The 2 main police officers of this show, Sheriff Blubbs and Deputy Derlin, come down and investigate the scene. They ultimately deem the case unsolvable, mostly because they have better things to do than waste time on a wax figure. Like watch someone shove an entire cantaloupe into their throats. So Dipper decides to take matters into his own hands. And they'll see who's adorable.
Aw, you sneeze like a kitten.
Bitch!
So Dipper and Mabel investigate the crime scene and eventually find their first 2 clues. Footprints in the shagged carpet, and the murder weapon, an axe. Because of the axe, their first suspect is local lumberjack Manly Dan, who's hanging down at the pub, and that's where they're headed.
We have an axe!
Remember how I said this show can get away with a lot of stuff? Well, it took me a while to get this beauty.
Sorry, but we don't serve minors. Dig, nabbit.
Somehow Mabel's dinky little fake IDs work, and they are in the pub. Dipper confronts Manly Dan, and we learn that the axe is left-handed. The next step is to narrow down who's left-handed and who's right-handed.
Oh man, we are on fire today!
After a quick montage, we eventually narrow down the suspects to be determined.
FBI, open up!
Toby is confronted with the evidence, but it turns out that Toby wasn't the killer, even though it would make sense if he was. What was Toby doing that night?
Finally, we can be alone. Cardboard cutout of female news reporter Chandra Jimenez.
Disgusting!
The axe is checked for fingerprints by the officers, but surprisingly, there isn't any fingerprints on the axe. Feeling defeated, Dipper and Mabel go to the funeral of Wax Stan, and when Soos and Stan storm out of the room, they actually find out who the culprits are. With all the clues combined, they realize the culprit is the wax figures. It turns out that Stan brought these wax figures from a garage sale that was haunted. It was his biggest attraction for a while, but when it flopped, he decided to close up shop, and the wax figures didn't like that. Until the present day, Soos found the door and opened it back up. And now they tried to get revenge on Stan and it was revealed that they tried to murder Runkle Stan for real. They also try to kill Dipper and Mabel for knowing their secret, but they realize they can fight back with hot melt things. And so an all-out brawl breaks out between the two sides, with eventually Sherlock Holmes and Dipper facing off neck and neck. They eventually go out onto the roof, and that was Sherlock Holmes' biggest mistake. As Wax Sherlock melts away, Dipper declares the case closed, but not before one final jag from Wax Holmes. And so Dipper and Mabel reunite, and Stan walks in and sees the mess in his parlor. But he doesn't even care at this point, and they all have a happy ending. Well, aside from the cops. Also, Mabel missed Larry King's head. He somehow got into the vent. And that was Headhunters, a dark, mysterious, and overall fantastic episode. If you ask me, this is the episode where Gravity Falls found its groove. It's got everything that I love about this show in it. It's got a healthy mystery element to it, which I love, and it really tested the censorship with the dark elements. And that's another reason why I love this show. And it also manages to be funny and engaging at the same time. I definitely recommend this episode along with Gravity Falls as a series this Halloween. But anyways, stay tuned for my next video where I talk about things in TV shows that scared me as a kid. That's all I wanted to say for now. See you, peeps, and stay safe out there.